everybody. Welcome back to Hope TV. My name is Kelly Burns. I am the program manager and art therapist for Stars of Hope. Today, I'm very excited to bring back a guest we've had before, Julie Krause. Her background is in art therapy. She has a Master's of Arts in Art Therapy from the School of Art Institute of Chicago. But I'd love for Julie to just share a little bit more about her background, just as a refresher for everybody joining us today, and then we'll get talking about World Mental Health Day, which is October 10th, which is Saturday, but we're going to be talking about it today. So welcome, Julie.
Hi.
Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me back again.
Yeah.
So like you said, I do have a master's in art therapy from the School of the Art Institute, and I have been working internationally since 2015. In the humanitarian sector, quite often in living and working in the field in refugee camps. But now I'm part of Head Office for Norwegian Church Aid, and my job title, I'm the GenderBased Violence and Emergencies Advisor with a specialization in mental health and psychosocial support. And I'm really, really excited to be here today talking about World Mental Health Day.
Yeah, I immediately thought of you when thinking about for our next Hope TV. I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to talk about not just mental health here in the States, but it's World Mental Health Day and what that means exactly. So when I was doing a little research about what's going on with World Mental Health Day, so I can be more aware and knowledgeable, reading the World Health Organization statement about World Mental Health Day, I noted that they included in their statement there needs to be an investment in mental health programs at the national and international level for mental health. So I thought, what exactly does that mean in your experience? What does that mean? Making more of an investment?
Sure. Well, and there's different every year for World Mental Health Day. There are different topics that they focus on, and this year it's really looking at investment. And I think that's important, particularly given the ongoing situation of COVID-19. So really, really investing, not just in programming, right, which because of the work that I do, that's quite often what I think about is how to increase programming for mental health on a global scale. But bringing it back down, right, to the micro scale and investing in people and their own well-being, their own mental health, and what that can look like, right? So I think that looks like, lessening stigma, especially on like I said, whether that be in the US on a regional, national level, but also globally, right? Because there is still so much stigma around accessing mental health services, and those words and those titles that as mental health professionals we really don't like, right? So I was like, I don't even want to use those. They're like bad words that we won't use. But thinking about those things and how to lessen that stigma and recognizing that so many people can really increase their overall functioning by accessing mental health services. Mm-hmm. So I have a few figures for you from the World Health Organization, and I think it'd be really, really important to share. And these are all on a global scale, and so it's pretty staggering to hear. So I think we can go over that and then perhaps talk about what are some of the things that can be done and solutions, right? So if you're looking at it, close to 1 billion people globally have mental health disorders. Depression is one of the leading causes of illness and disability among adolescents and young adults. 1 in 5 children and adolescents have a mental health disorder. And people with severe mental health disorders, they tend to die 10 to 20 years earlier. And that's, that can be for a variety of reasons. It could be their overall functioning. It could be, even how they're eating and, if they're engaging with other people, if they're accessing services. We're not even looking at things from like a neurological and medical background, but just day-to-day things, right? And then the last figure that I have for you, although there's a lot of other figures around mental health, but suicide claims the life of close to 800,000 people. That's one person every 40 seconds. So if you think about how long we're on this call right now,
Right.
It's incredibly overwhelming, right? And it's also the second leading cause of death for people ages 15 to 29. So that's a lot, right?
It is a lot, and it's that very last figure to me is heartbreaking, because it's so much of it could be. There's so many interventions that could be in place, support, either not just through me as a therapist, as community-wise. There's a lot of opportunity for access, for support for that. There could be, I would think. Yeah. So seeing those figures and recognizing that, it's really no wonder why this year's concept is around investing more in mental health, right? Because a lot of these things can be, they can be mitigated and they can be prevented sometimes, just by community supports. It doesn't even have to be, like you said, it doesn't even have to be that like higher level therapeutic intervention with a professional, but what can be done within the communities, what can be done for access of different kinds of services where people are feeling engaged and they buy into improving their overall well-being. Do you have any specific examples of like programs you've been in that are like this, about investing in mental health, and any, maybe not with the organization you're with right now, or maybe, I don't know, or in the past, that could be like, it could be an example for others to follow or to take examples from?
Well, I mean, if you look at my job title right now, and I'm thinking very specifically about a program that we're starting to roll out, which is really, really exciting. It's integrating therapeutic interventions into gender-based violence case management, which is a huge mouthful. I get that. But basically what we're doing right now, I have a consultant that we've brought on who has a mental health background. He's right now on the ground in Ethiopia, rolling out a training to work with case managers. So they're not necessarily mental health professionals, right?
Yeah.
They're working with survivors of gender-based violence. And it's just looking at how to integrate things more therapeutically. Looking at the training that we have, the module kind of breaks it up into two different things, right? So we talk about different symptoms that are highly recognized for survivors. And we got a lot of buy-in and feedback from our country offices in the field about different symptoms that kept coming up for them. And then different approaches to being able to work with these symptoms and work with survivors. So that's a huge thing that we're doing, and it's coming from a different aspect, right? It's not directly, like I said, it's not directly mental health professionals that are going to be leading these things for people, but we're really integrating it into our programs.
Is October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month here in the States. I might be speaking. I don't know if this is a international thing, but I know it's October Domestic Violence Awareness Month. For the program you just mentioned, is like gender-based violence programming, is this new for where these programs are being established? Like a totally new awareness?
I mean,
approach?
Yeah, I was going to say some of the programs are new to gender-based violence, but a lot of them they've started at different years. And actually, so on an international level, which I was like, you might just need to have me back so we can talk about it at the end of November. End of November to the beginning of December, it's 16 days of activism, and it's in regards to gender-based violence.
Okay.
So that's a whole 2 weeks and 2 days that's focused on that specifically. So, which is really, really exciting. Yeah, so a lot of the country offices, they've already been working with gender-based violence. We've had that program set up. However, the organization recognized and noticed that case managers at times were unsure when to refer, right? Because we have referral pathways to different specialists, but when to refer to a specialist, or if it was something that they could help manage for the survivor, right? If the survivor's coming in to talk to them, they've already built that rapport, have that relationship. What can they do, right? So I think that's definitely more kind of what we're being able to focus on with this.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really. And then I'll actually be I'll in about a month and a few days from now, I'll be in Tanzania piloting the project as well.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, I was like, it's been a few years since I've been to Tanzania, so it'll be really wonderful to actually be on the ground piloting this training. And then after I'm done with that, what we're going to do is come back together, finalize the module of the training, and then we'll be able to roll it out globally for all of our programs for gender-based violence program.
You're really just setting the example for what the World Health Organization statement.
Yeah, that's the point, right? Is really. It's really being able to integrate these components. It's really investing in people. And even I remember what we had talked about a little bit in the last interview, the concept of really trying to erase the need to have expats in the field, to have, foreign people versus having national staff, having the capacity to be able to lead the different programs and do these different things, right?
Yeah, that is exciting. I can't wait to hear more about it.
I know. I'm constantly excited with the work that I do, and I think that's one of the best parts about being able to do this work, right? So I gave you all of these staggering figures that can be absolutely overwhelming, and people can get very bogged down by all of that. However, if you're able to look at investing in mental health through these programs directly for people, you can shift that perspective in your mind of like, okay, it's no longer as overwhelming because these changes are being put into place.
Yeah, it's like, and maybe it's not necessarily something you see right away.
Correct.
However, and you might not see it like in a week or a month, but the work that's being done is still, you're planting seeds.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, right? Because, you can't expect to see an immediate change, right? You can't expect to see, how many generations of individuals that have these concepts around mental health shift in a day, a week, a month, even a year, right? You're doing psychoeducation within these communities to help shift and mitigate these thoughts and concepts. But it just takes time, right? To make those generational systemic changes.
And the World Health Organization in their statement, and I will include the link on their website. I keep referring to. I'm sorry, I didn't ask Josh to what do you call it? Put it on the screen. They touch on that what's going on right now. This isn't just going to stop in 2020. This is the effects of this is going to continue. Absolutely. So hence why there needs to be this investment here in the States and internationally, because it's a global thing. They also talked about, which you've talked about, but maybe we can expand a little bit more about it, engaging communities everywhere about, the inclusion of mental health within communities, the positivity, that it's ending the stigma about it, which probably looks different wherever you go.
100%.
How do we navigate that? Or how do you navigate it?
Well, I think back to, and I think I was talking to you about this the other day. I think like, for example, one of the years, which I'd like to bring back with the organization that I'm with now, but one of the organizations that I was working for before, when we had World Mental Health Day, we put on an art exhibition, right? Because I have that art therapy background.
Yeah.
We had an art exhibition within the community where they were focusing, they made art, they were focusing on mental health, as well as whatever the theme of that year for World Mental Health Day was. And then the elders within the community were actually the ones who voted who would win the prizes for the art exhibition. And we had it broken up into age ranges and things like that.
Wow.
And, you know, and then the prize was different art materials and just some things that we had put together that they could, of course, access as well. They were locally bought and sourced. But the idea behind that, right? So you're getting the engagement of the elders within the community to vote on these art pieces, and they're not, you know, they're not necessarily artists themselves. You're getting people within the community to come into a space where there's normally still a stigma, even though we're working to erase that stigma. They're coming because they want to see all of the art that's been made, and of course we had like snacks, and it was a party. And before people went in to see the art, we had everybody sit down, and we gave a few different talks just about mental health, some psychoeducation. Again, really working to help kind of lessen that stigma. So that was super exciting, and always had a really good response from the community.
Yeah, the art was like the vehicle, essentially, like but the goal of and the therapeutic value of just bringing everybody together and acknowledging the structure of the community, you know, elders judging and just and witnessing the art that was made and the recognition. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. I hope you get to do it again.
I hope so too, and I think the organization that I work for, I think they're still doing some iteration of that. At least I've seen a few years that they have. So it's lovely to see that kind of continued response. Even though, right, I'm not there anymore, I'm not doing the work with them, but clearly there was enough of a connection by doing that's something that they want to continue doing.
Yeah, that really, I don't know, it probably struck some chord. It meant, obviously stirred something, which is like what you mentioned before about them continuing without you. And they probably made it their own, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm like, I'd love to see it. I'm still in touch with the staff with the organization, so I should bug them and ask them about it.
We'd love to see pictures. I always love to see pictures of that's, you know, art made wherever, but that's amazing. It's very cool.
Yeah, definitely like it too.
So I think the last question I have, which is, you know, of course the biggest one, like what else can we do? What else, big or small, I suppose, here in the States, or I don't know. World Mental Health Day is, you know, I think about recognizing the need for mental health services, that we need to invest in mental health services. But, you know, for us just starting out, you know, and recognizing World Mental Health Day, like what's the next step? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think, you know, just engaging in conversation, right? Like it doesn't have to be a massive thing. So engaging in conversation with people, right? Like going to the link on World Health Organization, doing some research for yourself on what that looks like. Whether that be at a global or a national or regional level, just thinking, because I don't necessarily, and I won't have an answer that will fit everything or every place. So I think really getting, you know, having some kind of an idea, but also, okay, well, we have a surprise guest. There's also these kinds of things that help us, right? So even the concepts of self-care,
yes.
Right? Yep. For ourselves. And that's one of the other projects that I'm working on that we can talk about another time, is a self-care staff care workbook for our staff. But, he is definitely some good self-care for me. And he insists on being in the interview, of course. But yeah, just bringing it down to small, simple, basic things that can be done, because those make the biggest changes, right? Those start fires. Those start large change.
Yeah.
Because if we're expecting people to do these large, massive, sweeping things, that's not necessarily going to be sustainable. So what can you do, right? And I'd ask us of the audience and every single person, what can you do within your day, within your week, within your month that can bring recognition and investing in mental health? So you pose the question to me, but I really pose it back to the audience of what can you do with where you're at in your community to make these changes?
Yeah. It's needed everywhere within your community. What's the next, what can you as yourself an individual do?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Any last thoughts, Julie? You bring up so much good information.
I think definitely if we can put up some of those links for World Health Organization. Also, my organization does a lot of really great work. So being able just to look and to educate ourselves on some of these things that are happening on a global level and seeing how we can bring it back down to our own communities and for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? And just recognizing that this, right, all of those numbers that I gave you are absolutely staggering. However, what can we do, right, to help shift that for ourselves and those thoughts? What can we do to mitigate some of those challenges that people are having? Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Julie. Well, I hope to talk to you before you go to Tanzania.
Hope so too.
I look forward to hear more about how that program goes, how everything's implemented. I'm sure it'll be fantastic.
I'm super excited for it.
Yeah. And thank you so much for joining us again and helping us talk more about World Mental Health Day that will be happening on October 10th in a couple days.
Yeah, I was going to say it's this Saturday, so
yeah,
get excited.
So thank you so much.
Thanks again. I appreciate it. It's good talking to you.
Yes, you too.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much again for joining us on Hope TV. We will be back next week with another great interview. If you have any, I'll throw this out to the audience. If you or you know someone that you think would be a great person to join us here on Hope TV, you can message us on Facebook, and we'll take any suggestions and take it from there. So yeah, so thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.